From the yin-yang balance of all things in heaven and earth, humans were born with complete eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and consciousness with a pure soul untainted by evil energy. The dark veil was lifted, and all the awakened gods appeared in the mortal world. In a mythical realm where humans and gods coexist, a ceremony marking a new ruling princess is about to take place for the first time in 60 years. Princess Kikuri, the current ruler, requires the 12 Shinsho to devote themselves to protecting the new princess. Meanwhile, in modern Japan, a boy named Arata Hinohara is beginning a new life in high school. His energetic little sister rushes into his room to call him for breakfast. After going downstairs and saying good morning, Arata heads to school to begin a new journey. Now he can smile again and has even made a new close friend at school. Arata has always been a kind-hearted boy. Walking to school, Arata encounters his close friend. He is willing to lend Suguru a game disc, believing that everything will be fine and no one will bully him anymore. At school, Arata is preparing to run under the watchful eye of Katawaki, a bully from his old school. After an exhausting sprint, he reaches the finish line with a result of 11.58 seconds. With such an impressive result, a friend beside him asks Arata about his intention to compete, but he shyly declines. Witnessing this makes Katawaki's eyes red with anger. Because of this, there's an uncomfortable confrontation on the stairway, where Katawaki says he will never acknowledge Arata, disappointing the boy once again. However, things reach a breaking point when Arata overhears a conversation in which Suguru, his supposed best friend, says he never really considered Arata a friend. At the same time, in another world called Amawakuni, a boy also named Arata is running away from his grandmother's pursuit, but is eventually caught by her Amatsuki technique. The boy is required to become a woman under the guise of being a daughter of the Haim clan, to perform a ceremony that happens once every 30 years and become the princess of this country. This is because only a girl from the Haim clan can fulfill the role of princess. Since this family only has boys, Arata is forced to cross-dress as a cute girl, even though it's just a temporary strategy. Arata absolutely refuses this request. Kotoha, a girl from the Anim tribe, enthusiastically says she can make Arata look like a true beautiful girl. Only daughters of the Haim clan who possess Amatsuki can become the ruling princess of Amawakuni. Arata is a boy who naturally cannot possess Amatsuki if discovered. He would certainly die. Finally, thinking of his clan's safety, he can only agree, as there had been a declaration that if the Haim clan didn't have a daughter, the entire clan would perish. In the carriage heading to the holy site, Arata, disguised as a female, still feels disgusted. Conversely, Kotoha finds him very cute, looking like a real maiden, which infuriates Arata. To be certain, he reconfirms the temporary plan is to buy time while finding the real daughter of the Haim clan. The cheerful girl beside him says the ceremony only lasts 3 days, so he just needs to hold out until then. But it's not that simple. How can they fool the princess and the 12 Shinsho for 3 days? This worry makes Arata wish he could disappear from this world. Seeing his distress, Kotoha gives him the necklace she wears. It's a charm she received from Princess Kikuri when she served at the capital. This gives Arata the motivation to deceive everyone at the Holy Palace. At the square, blue flames blaze, signaling the first ceremony in 30 years, the beginning of a new princess's reign. Approaching the holy temple, Arata carefully reminds Kotoha to return to the village as soon as possible and take the villagers somewhere safe while he tries to buy time for 3 days. This makes Kotoha very worried. At the holy temple, Arata is granted an audience with the ruling Princess Kikuri. The boy is completely surprised when he sees Princess Kikuri, who is different from what he imagined. He thought Kikuri would be elderly, but she appears very young and beautiful. Fitting the lowly image perfectly, she has been ruling for 60 years. Princess Kikuri gently approaches Arata and comforts him to ease his worries, saying everything will be fine if he calms his heart, and the ceremony will proceed. Meteorites light up, and the blue flames blaze again. During the ceremony, unexpectedly, the 12 Shinsho who always support the princess stage a rebellion. They use special swords called Hayagami, led by Kanagi, who betrays the princess with a decisive, fatal sword strike and attempts to kill her. Because Arata witnessed this, Kanagi intends to kill him too, and Arata's life is nearly ended by Kanagi's sword. Arata's only option is to jump into the water to escape. The blue flames are extinguished as Kanagi speaks, and Arata is accused of killing the princess and is pursued by everyone. Burdened by this crime he didn't commit, Arata must escape to the Kundo forest. At the same time, Arata in the modern world feeling betrayed, wanders aimlessly down a small road, telling himself he won't trust anyone anymore. He wishes Suguru and Katowaki would just disappear. No, he thinks he should be the one to disappear. Hearing his name called, he wanders in his own way and inadvertently exchanges places with Arata from Amawakuni. Appearing in Kundo Forest, he is completely bewildered and doesn't understand why he's there. Seeing the giant tower in front of him, Arata even thinks he's dreaming. An arrow grazing his face brings him back to reality. Kanagi is right in front of him. Because Arata looks exactly like the Arata from Amawakuni, Kanagi wants to kill him, terrifying Arata. Stumbling into Kundo Forest with arrows chasing him, an invisible force helps Arata hide deep in the forest, avoiding Kanagi's pursuit. Suddenly, from the bushes, Katoha appears, startling him, and then directly pulls his hand to run away because Kanagi has discovered their position. What the hell is happening? This is the only thought in Arata's mind now. Outside Kundo Forest, Kanagi silently wonders how Arata could have escaped the forest. At this moment, Akachi, one of the 12 Shinsho, appears from the ground, telling Kanagi he has failed clearly. He could have defeated Arata with his Hayagami, but Kanagi didn't do it. This makes Kanagi laugh. A little mouse doesn't require him to use his great Kamui. He will soon catch the boy who doesn't know his limits. Changing the scene, Katoha safely brings Arata back to grandmother Makari's house, Arata's grandmother in this world. At Makari's house, the old woman immediately questions Arata about the morning's events. Since the ceremony was taking place, Katoha speaks up to explain that the princess has been assassinated, and now everyone believes Arata killed her. However, Arata is now suffering from memory loss, which is why he's acting strangely. Hearing this, Arata denies it, saying he is Hinohara Arata, not the Arata they're talking about. But no one believes him, and Katoha even thinks Arata has been swallowed by Kundo Forest. After a few minutes of silence, Arata and grandmother Makari sit in a basement discussing things clearly. Grandmother Makari sighs, realizing that the boy before her came to Amawakuni from a place called Japan. In her eyes, he looks no different from her grandson Arata. There's a legend about Kundo Forest. Anyone swallowed by the forest returns completely changed. Perhaps it exchanged the positions of someone with a person from another world. If this really happened, what should Arata do now? The old woman slowly says he cannot return. He can only live as Arata in this world. Hearing this terrifies Hinohara Arata, feeling his life expectancy has shortened again. He's even being pursued because he looks like the criminal they're trying to catch. Grandmother immediately speaks up to defend her grandson, saying her Arata would never do such things. It's truly unfortunate. First Arata was bullied at school, and now he's been brought to a place like this. While still thinking, suddenly Katoha's scream rings out. Kanagi has caught up and captured her. Hiding in the basement, Arata tries hard to convince himself that it has nothing to do with him, that he's not the Arata of this world. Even facing the threat of death, Katoha still believes Arata is innocent. This reminds Arata of his high school days. Even if you trust others, you'll only be betrayed, just as he was betrayed by Suguru's trust. Yet when the sword is placed on Katoha's neck, Arata appears, declaring he's not the Arata they're talking about and doesn't know what's happening, that he won't trust anyone anymore. Honestly, he's terrified of dying, but standing by while others are killed is even more wrong. Seeing Arata, Kanagi immediately orders his death. As the sword is about to strike, Arata grabs a nearby sword and blocks the blow. It's an ancient Hayagami. Only the chosen one can possess its power. In anger, Arata feels an invisible force from the sword, which grandmother Makari also recognizes. In Kanagi's hand, one of the 12 Shinsho, is also a Hayagami. He directly calls his sword Homoda and challenges Arata's Shinshan. Seeing the unfavorable situation, grandmother Makari quickly shouts to Arata to make it appear. Following Arata's words, a light appears and surrounds him. This light is Kamui. Not only Kanagi's Homura, but other things are being swallowed by this light. Seeing the critical situation, Kanagi hastily withdraws Homura. It's unbelievable that Arata is actually a show. Faced with this enormous power, the house they're standing in is like a cookie being submerged in a glass of milk, beginning to collapse. At the same time in Japan, Arata's mother and sister are searching for him when they are attracted by the chatter of people around them. Over there is a handsome, shirtless, muscular man sitting in the middle of the road. Hearing this, Arata's mother excitedly runs to see. It's Arata from Amawakuni, and seeing her son sitting on the street showing off his body, his mother is completely shocked. Back in Amawakuni, after the house collapsed, Arata, Katoha, and grandmother Makari have escaped Kanagi's sight and are hiding in a cave. Now Grandmother Makari explains the origin of the sword Arata just used. It's a Goshintai that has been passed down through many generations of their family, called a Hayagami. All gods in Amawakuni exist in the form of swords. Kanagi's sword is also a Hayagami. His is the god of fire and light, and the light Arata created to block it is Kamui, a great divine power. Arata has been chosen as a show, one who carries the power of the gods. Arata listens silently to all this, looking at Gatoya, who is enthusiastically offering food, hoping he can regain his lost memories from Kundo Forest. She truly sees him as that other Arata. Stepping outside to breathe some fresh air, Arata realizes this world has 3 moons. This isn't Japan, and he is the one chosen by Hayagami from another world. This world is indeed as complex as a role-playing game. Changing the scene, Kanagi is now sitting before a fire like an old monk waiting for guests when Akachi comes to report that the plan has changed. They must capture Arata alive and bring him to judgment before the people to remind them of the power of the 12 Shinsho. Somehow, it seems the Shinsho cannot resist showing off their power. As for Arata, who is being discussed, he is still sitting and thinking about everything that has happened. At this moment, Gatoya comes beside him with food and comforts him. She still thinks he is that Arata. Helpless, Arata doesn't know what else to say, and suddenly feels a weight on his shoulders. Gatoya has embraced him. She will always be by his side, and will always believe in him. In the cave, Grandmother Makari is still pondering the sword that Arata used. The Hayagami has enough power to block the Kamui of one of the 12 Shinsho. Hearing a noise, the old woman immediately runs out of the cave. Kanagi's people have sniffed out their location and are coming. At this moment, Gatoya is embracing Arata when she realizes the necklace she gave him is not on his neck, the gift she once gave to the real Arata, a gift from Princess Kikuri. So she removes the remaining one from her neck and gives it to Arata. In this peaceful atmosphere, Kanagi appears and captures Grandmother Makari to threaten Arata. Finally, he submits to being bound and taken on a horse-drawn carriage like a criminal. In the carriage, while Arata is frustrated, the necklace on his neck emits a strange light. He sees before him the Arata of Amawakuni, the one who exchanged places with him. The young Arata in Japan has also seen this. Arata immediately asks Shinshong and questions why the other is in his room, whether they really did exchange places, and why did he assassinate the princess. Hearing this, the Arata in Japan also becomes angry. He didn't kill the princess. It was Kanagi who killed her. The others of the 12 Shinsho just watched from beginning to end. They are all accomplices. The princess trusted the 12 Shinsho, but they cruelly betrayed her, causing her pain and sadness. He will never forgive them. Arata is silent, unsure if he can trust the words of the boy in front of him, fearing trusting someone only to be betrayed. The Arata in Japan laughs, saying he won't say "trust me" because those who say that are all liars, but it is a bit troublesome that both are named Arata. So he decides that the Arata in Amawakuni will be called Hinohara, while he will be Arata. Having settled this, Arata begins to ask about Gatoya and Grandmother Makari's situation. Seeing they are still okay, the boy is relieved, and though he doesn't know what to do, he will try to find a way for both of them to return to normal. At this point, Hinohara also remembers and reveals that he has been chosen as a show and his Hayagami has awakened, perhaps just by coincidence. Suddenly, the power from Michai Hinatama gradually disappears, and the circle between the two people becomes smaller and smaller. Arata Hinohara hears his mother's voice from afar, and the boy cries out that he is here. It has been a long time since he saw his mother. However, contrary to his hopes, the power from Michai Hinatama has completely disappeared, with darkness all around, and he can only fall down and sob. The next morning, on the judgment stand, the trial for the crime of killing the princess officially begins with the judgment of the 12 Shinsho, the princess's guards, and many people in attendance. Kanagi, from above, clearly announces Arata's crime, even showing everyone the image of Princess Kikuri fighting for her life with each passing second. She used Amatsuki in the final moments to preserve her life. From this, thousands of condemnations and curses from the people ring out. They all loudly demand Arata's death as payment. No one doubts the truth of the matter. No one doubts the betrayal of the 12 Shinsho. They are all condemning the boy. It's the same in any world. Trust people only to be betrayed by them. Arata's faith is completely destroyed. He angrily shouts that Kanagi is the real assassin of the princess, and that he will never forgive such cowardly figures as him. They are all just bastards. Have they ever thought about the princess's feelings? Do they know how painful it was for her to be betrayed by those she trusted? They have no right to use the gods. They are all just a band of treacherous villains. But no matter how much Arata shouts, not a single person believes him. Finally, they pass judgment. Arata of the Heim clan will be exiled to Gatoya, a place compared to hell. On the ship taking him to Gatoya, Arata sees a guard open the door to bring Gatoya there. It turns out she sneaked in when no one was paying attention, was discovered, and brought here. Arata is worried about Gatoya's very dangerous action, but she seems very relaxed. At the same time, Gatoya also takes out Arata's bag and the Hayagami she had hidden. A Hayagami is useless if not in the hands of a show. Grandmother Makari had asked her to bring it. Holding the Hayagami in his hand, Arata excitedly tries to summon the divine power of Kamui, but despite repeated attempts, it doesn't appear. At this moment, a voice calls out someone is calling Arata. Then the necklace on his neck suddenly glows, and Arata and Gatoya are transported to a strange space. A blue light appears before them. Princess Kikuri has brought them here, calling out to Arata, her new Shinsho, to listen to her wishes. His words during the trial deeply moved the princess. That's when she realized Arata's heart would lead the way. Until now, she has been using Amatsuki to keep the Hayagami together and control their Kamui. Princess Kikuri's body and life somehow still exist, but for how long, she cannot know. Princess Kikuri's wish is for Arata to rule Amawakuni in her place and bring his Hayagami before her life ends. She can only trust Arata. Surprised and confused by the request to rule a country, Arata begins to doubt himself. But fortunately, Gatoya is always by his side to comfort him. Meanwhile, the ship carrying them to Gatoya has already docked. Walking on the path to the prison, countless eyes look up at him. In his ears are discussions about the truth of the princess's murder. At this moment, two boys carrying spears rush like the wind to Arata. The red-haired boy loudly demands that Arata hand over all his clothes and belongings, and says he will also take the head of Arata, the princess killer. While they are fighting fiercely, the ground suddenly shakes, and what is called the payment appears. Everyone flees one by one, and the boy who was pointing his spear at Arata has also disappeared. Arata sits confused in a corner as black tentacles move above his head. He's just witnessed them swallow two men right before his eyes. The ground gradually becomes still, with only Arata and Gatoya remaining, still bewildered. A beautiful woman slowly approaches and explains. This thing called the payment is prison warden Shuga, the master of this prison. Once a day, he selects two people, and as they've seen, he eats them. Having said this, she steps forward, takes the hairpin from Gatoya's hair, and calmly walks away, considering it payment for the information she just provided. Changing the scene, Kanagi is now in a library searching for knowledge about the Kamui divine power of the Hayagami sword that Arata used. There is not a bit of information about it. Akachi, standing behind him, also wonders about Kanagi's actions. Why didn't he kill Arata, but instead sent him to Gatoya? It's unknown when Kanagi will discover the special characteristics of that Hayagami. As for Arata, after a tense situation, he is led by Gatoya to bathe. It seems the water pipes here are connected to an underground water source. During the fight with the red-haired boy in Gatoya's main hall, Arata carelessly suffered a slight injury to his arm. Seeing this, Gatoya takes his hand and begins to use the power that the female Anim tribe was given to heal him. This power not only heals the outside, but also the inner world, making Arata feel warm, as if he were still with his mother. The feeling Gatoya brings makes Arata somewhat ashamed, as he had always only thought of himself before. He wants to thank her for everything that has happened. Before he can finish his sentence, the ground where Gatoya stands collapses, and she falls right before his eyes. Arata hurriedly goes to search for Gatoya's whereabouts, but when he asks the locals here, no one answers him. While in a hurry, he also encounters a group wanting to take his head to get outside. It's truly annoying. He has no choice but to flee. After running for a while, he hides in a room to shake them off. At the place where Arata is hiding, he meets an old acquaintance. It's the girl who provided information about prison warden Shuga. After a somewhat special greeting, he learns that this girl's name is Osho. Perhaps moved by Arata's feelings for Gatoya, and sympathizing with the fear of losing someone cherished, she reveals that the red-haired boy who attacked Arata has taken Gatoya away. She might be in danger. The truth is not so. The two brothers, white-haired Shinchai and red-haired Kanet, are still warmly welcoming Gatoya. A beautiful and adorable girl like that makes even Kanet fall for her instantly. They're the ones who saved her after all. Seeing the beautiful older sister, Shinchai quickly finds an excuse to slip away, leaving the space for Kanet and Gatoya. The red-haired Kanet, not experienced in life, becomes completely flustered being alone with Gatoya. He decides to leave her in the room and go outside to find Shinchai to ease his embarrassment. Strolling casually down the corridor, the boy sees his younger brother Shinchai lying sprawled on the ground. Arata is standing right there, making the boy furious because he thinks Arata has attacked Shinchai. With a spear thrusting toward him, Arata has no choice but to draw the Hayagami from his body to defend himself. His mouth continuously asks Kanet about Gatoya's condition, saying she has saved him many times since he came to this world, comforted and encouraged him many times, helped and trusted him so much, and now it's his turn to protect her. At this moment, the wounded Shinchai speaks up, saying everything is a misunderstanding. As if to prove these words, a man from the opposite path lunges forward, intending to kill the boy. Luckily, Arata quickly kicks him down. This man is from Blue-Beard Sanji's group, part of the gang wanting to steal the ring worn around Shinchai's neck. When the boy was in danger, it was Arata who stepped in to help. But due to carelessness, the ring was taken by them anyway. Hearing this, Kanet entrusts Shinchai to Arata and goes alone to find that gang of thieves. Gatoya has used her power to heal Shinchai. The boy also begins to tell stories from his childhood. Shinchai was kidnapped by a gang of thieves, where he met Kanet. But when the gang got into trouble, somehow they were wrongly accused and brought here. Kanet has always been the big brother protecting Shinchai from behind. They promised they would leave this hellish place. The ring Shinchai wears around his neck was given to him by his mother before they were separated. The wound has healed, and finally, Arata and Gatoya are reunited. He doesn't know if he can fulfill the responsibility the princess entrusted to him. However, he decides he will try not to disappoint those who love him. They must get out of Gatoya. Finally, Kanet has returned and, of course, has brought back the ring. After resolving the misunderstanding between Arata and Kanet, this red-haired kid again excitedly intends to take Arata's head. The boy must leave here with Shinchai. But before they can fight, the hour of payment begins. What seemed like a normal daily occurrence suddenly changes today when those tentacles thrust straight towards Kanet. Leaving no one able to react in time, the boy has been eaten by prison warden Shugu. Shinchai cries out in pain. Now, as the second life claiming begins, it heads straight for Arata, but the one who gets eaten is Shinchai. The boy saved Arata. Witnessing such scenes repeatedly causes Arata to panic. He didn't do anything. He was supposed to be eaten, but Shinchai saved him. They might still be alive. Arata is determined to save them. Arata and Gatoya begin to set out to find Shinchai and Kanet. Following the water pipes might lead them to their friends. If so, of course, he will have to face Shuga. Though it's very dangerous. If they want to get out of here, they will eventually have to face him. When Kanet opens his eyes, before him is Shinchai, bound tightly by countless tentacles, and he himself is in the same situation. The two use all their strength to escape, but cannot. Shuga's power is too great. Suddenly, Shuga's voice rings out. He is so inhumane that he demands the two brothers fight each other to the death. The winner will be able to leave Gatoya. If not, both will die here. On the way to Shuga, Arata and Gatoya meet the girl Osho again. She enthusiastically calls them to her, but Arata is still looking for Shinchai and his group. Hearing they are going to Shuga, Osho says if they go there, they will die. If they don't go, perhaps they will still live, albeit in a life of hiding and fear, a miserable life, but at least they will still be alive. Hearing this, Arata still decides to go save them. Giving up in the face of the pain that prison warden Shuga brings, Kanet decides to pick up his spear and approach Shinchai. Despite Shinchai's crying and screaming, Kanet coldly tells the boy to stand up and fight. Only the winner has a chance to leave this place. By the time Arata finds them, the two boys are already engaged, one attacking, one defending. Kanet continuously attacks and demands that Shinchai respond. Seeing this fratricidal scene created by Shuga, Arata angrily jumps down, demanding that the bastard tell them to stop. But what responds to him is countless tentacles reaching straight for him. The scene of the two brothers fighting before his eyes, Shuga mocks the feelings of Shinchai and Kanet. Believing that everyone is the same, they only care about themselves. This reminds Arata of his high school friends who betrayed him. Could it be the same with Shinchai and Kanet? At this moment, Kanet has launched his attack to defeat Shinchai, and Shinchai also yells and delivers a fatal blow to Kanet. Everyone is stunned. Kanet remembers the first time he met Shinchai. The boy at that time was always just hiding in a corner, sobbing, and then the time they both sat on a rocky ledge, listening to Shinchai's stories. The ring worn around his neck was from the boy's mother. Kanat patted the head of the boy who was crying because he missed his mother and said to keep it safe. There would be a day when he would bring that ring to Shinchai's mother. Those are all precious memories. Kanat smiles. It's good. By defeating him, Shinchai can leave this place. He deliberately did that. Shinchai stares blankly at the big brother lying before him, and before he can gather his thoughts, countless tentacles have tightly bound him. Shuga has changed his mind. He wants to condemn Shinchai. Arata can no longer endure this, so he draws his Hayagami and challenges Shuga. The two sides fight fiercely. Shuga's tentacles extend to all the basements, and everyone comes to witness this battle. Outside Gatoya, the ship carrying Kanagi is gradually flying to the port. Arata cannot endure. Without Kamui he is naturally no match for Shuga, but he is not willing to give up. Kotoha has always believed in him. Princess Kikuri has always believed in him, and he wants to live up to their expectations. Arata calls out to Hayagami, please give him strength, and finally, that light appears, the light that carries the power of the gods. It blows away all of Shuga's tentacles, and finally, he uses a finishing move to defeat him. As the dust clears, his figure appears an old man with a corrupted Hayagami piercing his body. Step by step approaching, Arata reaches out to touch that sword. Through it, he enters the past memories of Shuga. He was judging a friend, believing his friend would reform and would soon be able to leave this place. But that man betrayed him and took the very Hayagami to stab straight into his chest. Faith betrayed, anger engulfed him, and the Hayagami also turned pitch black. Countless tentacles grew to cover Gatoya, and from then on, he and this place became gloomy. Seeing Shuga's past, Arata doesn't kill him but instead steps forward and begins to pull the corrupted Hayagami embedded in the warden's body. He will save him, pulling the sword with all his might as countless negative dark energies surround Arata. The pain makes him scream out. He too has been betrayed by those he trusted. But he is not like Shuga. After all, they are still important friends to him. He still doesn't fully understand human hearts, but he knows Shuga shouldn't be in this place alone, resentful and suffering like this. He is determined to save him, using all his strength to move the sword, and finally pulls it out. Shuga is completely stunned. Arata, despite being betrayed, still wants to trust them once more. Perhaps this is what he wanted. The corrupted Hayagami has also revealed its true appearance. It is Saniwa, the law enforcement Hayagami. In Arata's gaze, Shuga gradually merges with this Saniwa Hayagami. He decides to dedicate himself and this sword to the extraordinary show before him. His life will blend with the Hayagami, and Saniwa's Kamui will belong to him. Shuga calls out, asking Arata to restore to Gatoya what it once had. Those captured during the payment hour have also returned. Seeing all this, Kanagi, who has just docked, immediately sets out rigorously to find Arata. But Shuga appears to stop him. Arata has now become very powerful, and his Hayagami will be the beginning of an era where swords rule the world. Following the footsteps of the era, Arata has also set sail to the capital to find the princess. In Japan, the remaining Arata boy is passionately planting banana trees, making the whole family laugh continuously. Everyone thinks his brain might be damaged from being bullied too much. But actually, Arata hasn't gone hunting for a long time, so he finds it too boring. The doctor says this boy has temporary memory loss, so no one suspects he is from another world. Back to Amawakumi, Kanagi is now pondering over Shuga handing Saniwa to Arata. They are on their way to Kagutsuchi, where Kanagi is about to meet someone named Demisu. Arata's group has successfully escaped disaster and drifted ashore. It turns out they were floating on the sea when the boat began to deteriorate. Luckily, using all their strength, they managed to reach an island. After stabilizing, Arata and Kanat look at their destination on the map. From here to the princess's capital, they must pass through the island ruled by Kanagi. Amawakumi is divided into 12 different territories, each ruled by one of the 12 Shincho. While discussing, Shinchai discovers that there is someone nearby with a campfire. The whole group heads over to check and realizes they are just ordinary people. Seeing a familiar face, Shinchai immediately rushes out to greet them. They are from his village. From inside the tent emerges an older woman, Shinchai's mother. After recognition, the mother and son embrace each other tightly. After introducing Kanat and Arata's group to his mother, mentioning that Kanat once saved Shinchai's life, Kanat now remains quite silent. Everyone sits down to talk as Shinchai and his mother recount old stories. These villagers are planning to go to the borderlands because they have lost their princess, and chaos is about to engulf the land. They decided to migrate to the borderlands before war breaks out. Everyone is packing and preparing to leave. The reason the 12 Shinsho haven't stood up to rule and quell the unrest is that none of them can restore order. Only one person can rule the country, a princess or a king. The throne is only for the most powerful Sho. In the past, the 12 Shinsho fought just for this throne, but the princess took it and controlled the Kamui. Now Shinchai calls for Kanet to journey with him. The villagers are ready, but Kanet remains silent. Behind this waterfall is the border road that opens only once a month, making Kanet even more pensive. Shinchai happily steps forward to take his hand, saying they will continue together. But finally, Kanet lets go of his hand, stunning Shinchai, who doesn't understand why his big brother doesn't want to go with him. After 2 minutes of silence, Kanet smiles and bids farewell to Shinchai. Kanet cannot go because it was his own gang of thieves that attacked Shinchai's village and separated him from his mother. He doesn't want to avoid facing himself anymore. Understanding Kanet's actions, Arata decides to take him along on the journey to the princess's capital. After a long journey, Arata collapses from exhaustion, and they decide to rest for a while. Seeing Arata tired, Gatoya gives him something called gamu to recover his strength. Just as he takes a bite, they encounter a monster moving right beside them. Gatoya and Kanet aren't very concerned because Muru is naturally a beneficial species that won't attack others. But for some reason, this Muru suddenly becomes angry and chases after them, making the group run for their lives. After running for a distance, they see a girl holding Muru eggs standing nearby. No wonder the Muru is angry and chasing them. Before they can think much, the beast returns, and Arata, Gatoya, and the girl immediately run away, leaving Kanet to be chased by the Muru. Having escaped the Muru, Arata asks the girl why she stole its eggs. It turns out Muru eggs can be nutritious. Her lady is pregnant, and she wanted to bring them back for her. But it's too late now. The Muru eggs start to crack, and the baby Muru are born. At this moment, a man on horseback is waiting for Kanet to approach. He is the master of the girl named Hami. Seeing that Kanet has no issues, Arata sighs in relief and then faints in front of everyone. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a strange room with Kanet beside him. The boy explains that this is the home of Ohika, the man on horseback. His wife also comes to bring clothes for Arata to change into. Among the clothes the girl brings is Arata's phone from Japan. Seeing a message from Suguru, the friend who betrayed him, Arata falls silent. Then Kanet suddenly remembers that he hasn't told Arata something. Ohika serves Kanagi. Unexpectedly, Ohika steps forward from behind the curtain, smiling and acknowledging that he knows Arata is also a Sho. He takes Kanet's damaged spear and uses the Kamui from his own Hayagami to renew it. Indeed, this Kamui has the power of a forge, named Kanari. It creates tools and sometimes armor. Thanks to Kanari, Kanagi values him greatly. Meanwhile, Gatoya and the girl named Hani are happily selecting chicken eggs. Hani admires the dress Gatoya is wearing, saying her master likes dresses like that. It seems the girl admires Ohika and is a bit shy. Gatoya laughs and says they can exchange outfits. At this moment, on an island, Kanagi stands before a strange stone slab and tells himself he doesn't want Emisu to continue to be imprisoned. He will definitely win the throne for that person. There's a report of a robbery delivered to him, and he must quickly go to Kirisu's place. But when he arrives, before Kanagi's eyes is only a sea of blood. Someone has killed people here. There is still someone alive who uses his final breaths to say that Sho Akachi has attacked them. Hearing this name, Kanagi is stunned. This is actually what Ohika had anticipated. Walking on the country road with Arata and Kanet, he slowly opens his heart. This is a war between the Sho for the throne, and Ohika doesn't want to interfere. He wants to live with the people, love his family, and depart peacefully. But surely some Sho don't think that way. There is still one way to take the throne without killing if all Sho submit to that person and merge with the Hayagami, as Shuga did with Arata. While talking, Ohika is informed that there are guests coming to see him. On the way, Ohika meets Hani, who is wearing Gatoya's dress. Seeing Ohika looking at her, Hani becomes embarrassed and wants to change clothes, but he stops her and compliments her. He didn't think Hani had grown up so much. It's been 5 years since Kanagi brought the little girl here, but these are just small matters now. Ohika needs Hani's help with something. Leaving Kirisu's house, Kanagi continues to go to Yesa's residence, but it's all too late. Before them is only a sea of blood. With his mood in turmoil, there is only one place Kanagi hasn't been to yet: Ohika's village. It turns out that what Ohika asked Hani to do was to get everyone to leave the village immediately. This decision by Ohika surprises Arata quite a bit. Indeed, Ohika's guest is Akachi. Arata's group is now standing behind the curtain, eavesdropping on their conversation. Akachi tells Ohika the truth about the princess's death. The mastermind is Kanagi. He betrayed the princess. Now Akachi wants to call for Ohika's support, but Ohika naturally doesn't agree. He had pledged loyalty to Kanagi, so no matter what happens, in his position as a Rokuso, Ohika still wants to share the blame. Upon hearing Ohika's refusal, the group of friends is stunned. They didn't expect Ohika to remain so steadfast when faced with the truth. Knowing he can't persuade with words, Akachi grabs Kuro, Ohika's pregnant wife. Akachi continues to demand that Ohika become his Rokuso. Ohika wonders why. If he wants to be king, does he need him? Akachi replies that it's only because Ohika is Kanagi's Rokuso, and not just him. Akachi has already absorbed 6 other Hayagami. He gives Ohika 2 choices: submit now or watch Kuro and the child in her womb die before submitting. Faced with the threat to 2 lives, Ohika backs down and accepts the deal, asking that his family not be harmed. Having received Akachi's consent, Ohika plants the sword in his hand, recites a prayer, and then becomes one with it. Immediately after, he flies toward Akachi's spear, becoming a new source of power. Ohika accepts the sacrifice of his life to preserve the lives of mother and child. But he forgets that the person he's dealing with has long ceased to be human and is now a demon. 2 maids, hearing noise from outside, run in and immediately die under the cold spear blade, blood soaking the floor deep red. Kuro trembles, begging Akachi to spare her and her child. Blood once again stains the curtain. A life that hadn't yet found happiness is cut short. Arata and his friends stand behind, breathless at the shadowy scene. Akachi, of course, doesn't spare them. He cuts through the curtain, revealing each person. Akachi continues to provoke Arata to attack. At that moment, Kanagi also arrives and sees Kuro's body, which completely surprises him. He didn't think Akachi would actually kill everyone. The battle for the throne officially begins. Kanagi launches a fire attack at Akachi, but he blocks it with one hand. The attack force grows stronger. Akachi still blocks it, and makes Kanagi feel suppressed. Kanagi doesn't notice behind him and is ambushed, falling to the ground. Neither side yields, the pressure immeasurable. Hani has long since fainted. Kanagi asks why Akachi is doing this. Akachi begins to reveal that Emisu loved Kanagi so much, yet he heartlessly burned her alive. Akachi plants his spear in the ground, and from it grow 6 swords representing the lives of Kirisu, Haga, Yuka, Kuroji, Shaji, and finally Ohika. All were once Kanagi's Rokuso, and now they must offer the power of their Hayagami to the one who holds power disguised as a human. Akachi is pleased, believing victory lies in the hands of the strong. In Kanagi's mind appears a stream of memories from the past. They had fought each other like this before, but not to life or death as now. Still with the fighting stance of grasping a fist. Now there's only hatred that cannot be diminished. Akachi wants Kanagi to understand the feeling of loss and heavy guilt. He must live with the moral burden until death. He doesn't kill Kanagi immediately, waiting until he hears what he's been expecting. Hani wakes up to witness the battle and finds it terrifying. Arata realizes that Akachi betrayed the princess and is arranging a crime to ascend the throne. Arata steps forward to stop Akachi but is misunderstood as also having an interest in the throne. He angrily questions what meaning there is in killing people for power. But Akachi despises this moral stance of Arata's, warning that if one is a show, then one either submits or must make others submit. That's all. Having said this, he leaves, leaving behind the defeated Kanagi. Kanagi still sits there. Arata can do nothing more. Hani comes before Kanagi, demanding he return Ohika. She's very angry because Ohika trusted him so much. Currently, he has been absorbed, so he's considered dead. Kanagi also no longer has a Hayagami, can only submit to fate. Nothing left but a single apology. Arata runs over to ask Kanagi if he really wants to give up. He suspects Kanagi knows everything, knows that Akachi will take the throne because Kanagi himself killed the princess. Kanagi shoves Arata's hand away, saying he knows nothing, and walks away. Arata also leaves. Kanat chases after him, but he says he just wants to be alone now. On the other side, Arata in Hinohara's body is leaning against the window, looking at a photo of himself and an old friend, when he accidentally catches a glimpse of furtive eyes below the house and hurries down to see. It turns out to be Suguru Shinkai, although he knows he no longer has the right to see him. Since Arata has been absent from school for a long time, he's a bit worried. However, Arata is not the person from here. He doesn't know who is standing in front of him. Hearing this, Suguru thinks Arata is drawing a line, not considering him a friend, and sadly returns the book before running away quickly. Arata Hinohara in the other world is sitting on a mountaintop, reminiscing about the past in a dreamy state, wondering if the princess really wants him to be king. At this moment, Gatoya and Kanat come beside him. Gatoya sits next to Arata and gently comforts him. Arata feels utterly helpless, the sword in his hand trembling. Kanat empathizes, saying fear is normal. If it were him, he would feel the same. But more than fear, Arata feels angry because he can't do anything, doesn't have enough strength and courage. The more he wants to be stronger to destroy Akachi, the more he feels like him. Kanat throws some stones at Arata, not wanting to see him so lacking in energy. He provokes Arata to attack him, but Arata still sits there, not wanting to harm anyone anymore. Kanat says if he's afraid, then retreat. These words wake Arata up. He realizes he can't give up because the princess trusted him. Arata must be stronger, must fight. Suddenly, Gatoya remembers that prison warden Shuga didn't submit to Arata because he entrusted himself to him, not taking his life. She also remembers that the former Mistress Mikari once told a story about a legendary Hayagami. It doesn't carry attack power and represents the origin of the ordinary sword world, and perhaps Arata's Hayagami is that legendary sword. Arata lifts the sword, and a beam of light radiates, illuminating the whole sky that is the Hayagami Tsukuro. In Japan, Arata has been standing in front of the school gate waiting for Katawaki for some time. Seeing Katawaki come out, he quickly approaches, intending to ask about Arata Hinohara's situation, even asking if the two aren't close friends. Katawaki frowns, thinking he's deliberately saying this to tease him. But before he can scold Arata, his mother comes to pull him away to greet the teacher. His mother discusses academics with a homeroom teacher while Arata wanders around the school. Suddenly, he encounters old friends. They call him to the rooftop. There, Katawaki is already waiting, thinking he would hide at home forever. Without waiting for Katawaki to finish speaking, Arata has already climbed up high on the railing, gazing repeatedly at the city below. The scenery here is truly beautiful. Feeling ignored, Katawaki calls out loudly for him to come down and talk properly. Arata jumps down with an indifferent attitude. He came here because he was forced, not voluntarily, to play roles. He doesn't even know what these people's intentions are. From this tone, they're clearly not Hinohara's friends. Before leaving, he doesn't forget to taunt them with a few words. Katawaki, furious, rushes forward wanting to teach him a lesson, but Arata effortlessly blocks him. Arata's nature is not the type to endure and let things pass. He kicks back at Katawaki with a painful kick that slams him into the iron railing, reminding him not to have any bad intentions toward Hinohara. In Amawakumi, Gatoya slips and falls, getting injured. Kanat shows his intention to carry her, but she refuses, yet agrees to let Arata help her into an abandoned house to rest and regain strength. Her foot has swollen completely. Although she is of the Anim tribe, Gatoya doesn't have the ability to heal herself. Seeing this, Kanat recharges his energy and volunteers to pick herbs. As soon as the boy leaves, Gatoya tightly hugs Arata's arm and leans on him. She feels he has something very distant about him that makes her feel sad. She is, after all, just a young maiden. Arata reaches out to comfort her, but hears her call his name. He stands up, using the excuse of patrolling the surroundings to leave. For a moment, he forgets that he is Hinohara, not the real Arata. The person Gatoya wants to rely on is not the ordinary Hinohara from some strange world. He uses the necklace to connect with Arata from the real world, telling him everything that has happened. Arata also understands the situation, with risks becoming increasingly more numerous, reminding that a show like Hinohara also needs to be cautious, then asks about Gatoya. Gatoya, inside the old house, blames herself for only delaying time and stands up to go outside. In silence, Hinohara asks Arata what he thinks about Gatoya. However, besides feelings like those for family, he has nothing else. Gatoya is like a little sister that Arata is ready to sacrifice to protect, though they can't meet. He entrusts her to Hinohara's care now. Hinohara also promises to protect her well. Kanat, picking herbs on the mountain, sees medicinal herbs and quickly approaches to gather a handful. From the ground suddenly erupts blazing flames surrounding him. Arata recounts that today he kicked Katawaki at school. Hearing this, Hinohara becomes dazed. Seeing this, Arata thinks Katawaki might be his friend. At this moment, the space gate gradually closes when Arata hasn't clearly understood the situation. Arata, like a soulless person, walks slowly step by step, remembering Katawaki. Unexpectedly, Kanagi attacks from behind, tightly gripping his neck, demanding he hand over the Hayagami. Although not as strong as before, this place is filled with fire energy right below the ground. Kannagi only uses this flame, which is enough to engulf a human. Fortunately, Arata manages to counterattack, drawing his sword to create a protective layer blocking the incoming fire. Kannagi's purpose in doing this is to force Akachi to submit and reclaim Homura. Arata, trembling, holds the sword toward Kannagi, who shows no fear, understanding that Arata doesn't have the courage to harm others. Kannagi gently takes the blade from his hand. Kotoha, running from afar to prevent it, is also surrounded by Kannagi's flames. At this moment, in Kannagi's eyes, looking at Kotoha is like seeing Emisu. Arata hurriedly moves towards her, then crosses the firewall to embrace Kotoha. Kannagi stands there, unable to bear it anymore, then rushes in and successfully rescues Arata and Kotoha. Akachi remembers the days before the storm when he and Kannagi practiced martial arts happily while Emisu cheered them on. The mood then was indescribable. If only the ancient Sho hadn't died and lost his territory. On the day the territory burned, he had given the opportunity to escape to Kannagi and Emisu, alone facing the crowd to protect the brother he cherished most. Kotoha tries to heal the wound on Kannagi's left shoulder, but her strength is not enough. The Sho of fire god but suffering from burns. Kannet guesses the burn might have occurred before Kannagi became a Sho. In his dreamy state before waking, Kannagi looks at Kotoha and sees her as Emisu. That day, they drifted on a small boat in the vast ocean, leaning on each other, looking at the uncertain future until both collapsed. Because of the promise to make Emisu happy, Kannagi, despite his condition, went to Kagetsuchi in a barely alive state. At Kagetsuchi, everyone was good, and they decided to live their lives there. But then Kannagi fell seriously ill. After 5 days with no improvement, Emisu went to find spiritual medicine regardless of the erupting lava. When he woke up, the sky had turned to night, and he knew something was wrong. Immediately climbing the mountain to find Emisu, she was surrounded by flames too high. The flames attacked, nearly costing Kannagi his life on the cliff face. It created the burn on his left shoulder. When he climbed up, it was too late. Emisu stood looking at him in the raging fire burning her body, her eyes still full of faith. Finally, she lost her life at Kagetsuchi. Having lost his loved one, Kannagi also wanted to end his life. But at this moment, Homura appeared. He became a Sho from then on and has lived until now thanks to his hatred for fire. For him, Homura is Emisu, so no matter what, he must take it back. After hearing the story, Arata understands what he needs to do. He wants Kannagi to join them and journey to the ends of the earth. This has sparked a new change for their struggle journey. On the other side, something more dangerous is approaching very close. At the place where Princess Kikiri sleeps soundly, 6 masked individuals discuss together. Her Amatsuki has weakened greatly. If this continues, she certainly won't survive, but there's still a big trouble. Arata, the Sho accepted by Sukuru. If he manages to bring his Hayagami before the princess's life ends, she will revive. In the forest on the way to the princess's capital, Arata and Kannet are enthusiastically practicing sword techniques. Kannagi lies nearby, staring intently at Arata's Hayagami, seemingly still coveting it greatly. Seeing them looking at him, Kannagi reverts to his fussy behavior, complaining of hunger. Still, only Kotoha diligently goes to find food. Seeing Kannagi like this, Kannet is displeased and pulls Arata to a corner, complaining about why they're bringing along someone with such high self-esteem. Actually, Arata is also starting to regret it now. Finally, Kotoha returns with food. Seeing the food, Kannet flies over to help. Then the boy throws Arata a pear, telling him to give it to Kannagi. Having no choice with Kannet's stubbornness, Arata just puts away his Hayagami and throws that pear to Kannagi. At the same time in Japan, Katawaki remembers the kick Arata gave him, making his blood boil with anger, smashing everything in the room. Along with the breaking of the bookshelf, a photo taken together between him and Arata Hinohara falls out, making Katawaki even angrier, stomping on it. After a day at school where his brain barely absorbed anything, Arata returns home. His mother was already waiting there. Seeing Arata's coldness toward her, the mother becomes sadder. Unable to watch anymore, the little sister starts to educate her brother. Her mother has been very worried about her son and has waited a long time. Yet Arata can't even call her mom. So he tries to call her mom, but still can't utter that word. So Arata escapes to his room. He originally comes from another world and doesn't have a mother anyway. After resting for a while, Arata begins to remember the person he hit today. It seems Katawaki is Hinohara's friend. While thinking, he sees Suguru appear on the balcony, so he quickly chases after him and asks if he is Hinohara's friend. Hearing the question, Suguru is silent. He had said he wasn't Hinohara's friend. He knows he's scum. But if he hadn't said so, those others would have shifted their bullying target to him. Anyway, it's an old story, so Arata just laughs heartily and lets it go. If so, it seems Katawaki is also Hinohara's friend. This morning, he hit him, which is quite troublesome. So Arata decides to go find Katawaki. Just as he's preparing to go out, Katawaki sees his father return, ignores him, and walks past. However, his father is not so easy. He holds Katawaki, forcing him to go study for exams. Katawaki laughs incredulously. His father hasn't even dealt with his numerous mistresses and still wants to control him. Seeing he can't control his son, Katawaki's father angrily scolds him, mentioning the past about giving up the team years ago. This makes him remember the memories shared with Arata from before. It seems there was a lot between them. Uncomfortable, Katawaki mentions his father's corruption. But the result is a stinging slap. In Amawakimi, Arata's group has reached the territory of Yonagami, one of the 12 Shinsho and the show of water power Hayagami. Perhaps he already knows they have arrived here. To summarize, Uranami is the show of water power. Kanagi's Homura is fire power. Akachi's Okoro is earth power. So what about the other show? Trying to extract more information from Kanagi, but he seems quite tight-lipped, still strongly coveting Arata's Hayagami. The 12 show never cooperate with each other, especially the mysterious people of the 6th show. Perhaps those are the people Arata wants to avoid encountering the most. While they are talking, someone has been in the tree and heard everything. Meanwhile, the 6th show they are mentioning are also discussing Arata. That day, everyone saw Arata step out of Kundo Forest. He must be from another world. They must awaken that thing, defeat Sho Arata as well as Sekiro. The person assigned the task is Sho Haruna. Perhaps a battle is about to begin. In Japan, learning that her son is missing, Arata's mother and sister Nako immediately run to search. As for Arata, he is on the way to find Katawaki, and when he sees him, it's also when he's surrounded by a gang preparing to beat him. So Arata appears, demanding to stand by Katawaki's side. Those half-hearted thugs have seen Arata's powerful kick before, so they reluctantly retreat. But the person who was just helped, Katawaki, isn't very happy. He hates Arata to the extreme. Just seeing him reminds him of old memories. While the two are arguing, suddenly a slap from heaven falls on Arata's face. After slapping the boy, she also bursts into tears in the astonishment of Arata and Katawaki. She and her little sister have been searching for Arata for a long time. This boy goes out without even telling anyone. They have been very worried, she says while crying. Flustered and not knowing what to do, Arata repeatedly calls her mom, hoping she would stop crying. Seeing the scene of mother and son loving each other, Katawaki nearby is pensive. Katawaki's mother had left him since he was small. Walking on the road filled with tangled thoughts, friends who play with him for money and power, a mother who abandoned him, a bastard father. Then he remembers Arata. Everyone wants to play him. The hatred in his eyes rises higher and higher. In his heart now, everything is because of Arata. Every corner is filled with loathing and hatred, and the intention to kill Arata also rises. As if seeing that hatred, at Kundo Forest, Haruna is performing some ritual. He wants to summon Katawaki, the soul full of hatred, to Amawakimi to awaken that thing. Through the ritual, Haruna has successfully summoned Katawaki to Amawakuni, while also transmitting to him memories about Arata Hinohara who is in Amawakimi. Knowing the person in Japan is fake, Katawaki's hatred grows higher. He follows the arrangement of the 6th show and comes to a strange basement. Here, the 6th show explain clearly about the things Arata has done and make a request for Katawaki to become a show, to kill Arata with his own hands. The one who can force Sho Arata to submit must be someone who despises him, an enemy who hates Arata to the core. That is also the emotion that brought Katawaki to this world. They lead Katawaki to a room, where the only Hayagami that can defeat Tsukiro and Arata is kept. But this sword has been sleeping for a long time under the seal of the Heim family generations. It's named Orichi. Of course, to become a show possessing this Hayagami, one must also be chosen by it. Katawaki slowly approaches with a heart full of hatred and draws it out. The Sword of Hatred, after seeing Katawaki's desire to crush Arata, agrees to accept him as a show. With the vibration of this dark sword, the 12 Shinsho have also sensed the danger. Arata's Tsukiro vibrates with increasing strength. A strange black energy suddenly appears on the blade. This is also when Katawaki appears. He has found Arata. Seeing Katawaki in front of him, Arata is stunned. Immediately, Katawaki draws Arachi and launches a direct attack at where Arata is standing. Without time to think, Arata summons the Kamui of Sekiro to block the attack. Why has Katawaki come to this world? This question makes Katoha wonder why specifically come to this world. Seeing Arata block this attack, Katawaki smirks. So this is the sword that rules the world, huh? He continues to provoke Arata, constantly cursing and recounting their shameful past. The more Arata listens, the angrier he becomes. What right does Katawaki have to curse him? The Hayagami gradually takes on a black color. Seeing Arata angry, Katawaki becomes more gleefully provocative. As anger reaches its peak, Arata's Hayagami directly turns black. Leaving Kanagi stunned, he's falling into the demon realm. A dark attack launches toward Katawaki, causing his face to be covered in blood. But Arata still doesn't stop. He continues to fall deeper into the demon realm. Seeing the situation isn't good, Katoha rushes over and embraces Arata. He can't fall into the demon realm. The power from Arata causes Katoha to scream in pain. She has always believed in him. As if hearing Katoha's call, Arata finally stops. That's also when Katoha collapses from exhaustion. Wanting to continue provoking Arata, the six show appear and demand Katawaki stop. He should fully awaken Arachi first, so they board the airship and leave. Seeing Arata's miserable state, Kanagi directly steals Sekiro. Arata makes no attempt to reclaim it because he has abandoned it himself. Kanet hurriedly chases after him to retrieve the sword. Once things quiet down, Arata remembers Katoha. Fortunately, she's still alright. The two of them take shelter from the rain in a house. Arata begins to talk about Katawaki, the dark power always hidden within himself that made him fall into the demon realm, and the reason why he said, "Come to this world," to let Katoha know he's not originally from this world. Learning Arata's true identity, Katoha falls into silence. He's not the Arata she grew up with. Helpless, Arata steps outside to give Katoha space. When he wakes up, Katawaki sees a girl named Miyabi by his side. She's a strange maid who can say morning even at night. After she leaves, Katawaki remembers the image of Arata falling into the demon realm. It seems he's really serious now. Kanet is running around frantically searching for Kanagi in the rain. This rain comes from Yorinami's Kamui. If ambushed now, the boy would surely be in trouble. Luckily, he finally finds the person. But Kanagi doesn't resist and voluntarily returns. He walks to where Arata is immersing himself in the rain, looking extremely miserable. The Hayagami commands Arata to take it back, but Arata remains silent. Angered, Kanagi directly grabs him and scolds him. "You're supposed to transform heaven and earth. Stand up and reclaim your Hayagami. This sword of his is very heavy. It carries great duty and responsibility. Can Arata finally rise up and bear it?" Kotoha also steps forward, looking expectantly at Arata. Awakened by Kanagi, the next morning Arata is enthusiastically practicing sword techniques again. After a round of fighting back and forth, Kanagi requests a change of opponent. He will duel with Arata. During the battle, Kanagi also reveals that the one who broke the seal is one of the six show. That's Haruna. He has taken Katawaki's place and gone to Japan. Kanagi continues to say that Katawaki will certainly come here again. What will Arata do then? Seeing the hesitation in Arata's eyes, Kanagi directly knocks Sekiro from his hand down the mountainside. Anyway, it's useless to Arata now. He has hesitated, afraid of falling into the demon realm again. Disappointed, Kanagi turns to leave, but then stops, demanding that Arata must find it before sunset. If he fails, he shouldn't speak to him anymore. Arata is silent, then immediately runs off to find Sekiro. When he sees the Hayagami, it's being held in a wolf's mouth. While chasing it, Arata continuously thinks about why he's pursuing it. Can he do it? Then suddenly he feels as if Katawaki is still beside him, running with him, encouraging him, telling him not to stop. Each old memory with Katawaki urges Arata to continue. He stops, looks at the wolf in front of him, and Arata silently thinks, "Katawaki and he are friends, aren't they?" On the Six Show's airship, Katawaki is telling Miyabi about Arata. After cursing Arata worse than a dog, Miyabi laughs. She believes Katawaki clearly likes Arata. Although he curses him, he still cares. If he didn't like him, he would have ignored him and not paid attention to that person at all. Hearing this, Katawaki directly loses his temper, pointing Arachi straight at Miyabi's neck. What does she know about them? That year during the cross-country race, because he was weakened, he could only participate in one competition. Katawaki had invited Arata to run with him because he was the person whose strengths he understood best. Both had run with all their might, and even if he lost, he would still achieve what he wanted Hinohara. But at the very end, Arata slowed down. What harm had he done? Katawaki didn't need this. Don't play with him like that. From then on, Katawaki increasingly loathed Arata. Finally, Arata has brought the Hayagami back for Kannagi to see. He can trust him now. Walking over to Katoha, Arata promises her that he will never fall into the demon realm again. And although he's not too confident, he will try to change Katawaki's heart. Hearing Arata's affirmation, Katoha happily bursts into tears, saying she will always believe in him. Arata steps forward and embraces Katoha, making Kanet green with jealousy. Though with Kannagi nearby, the boy has no room to make trouble. A new day begins at a place unknown to anyone. Yorinami monitors Arata's every action through water bubbles. He slowly walks closer to the water sphere that imprisons his Mokuso. The people around continuously beg for mercy. Despite this, Haruna announces the crimes of Shiroteki. He has ordered the cessation of salt supply to this country. The attendant beside him worriedly says that without salt, the common people will suffer terribly. Finally, Yorinami waves his hand, breaking the water sphere and sparing the man's life. At the same time, he warns the man that if he wants to follow him, he must know how to work. He doesn't need useless Sokuro. On this side, the group is preparing to travel to Yorinami's capital when Arata stops. He doesn't want to defeat Yorinami, so before they meet face to face, he wants to know what kind of person he is. He wants to meet Haruna's Sokuro first. Seeing this, Kotoha immediately understands Arata's intention. He doesn't want to force others to submit. Instead, he will calm them, accepting their lives entrusted to him. So the whole group sets out for Suzukura, the most prosperous city in Amawakimi. Having reached the city gate, they still can't enter. They must pay taxes to get in. This is the law of Suzukura, which makes Kanet's blood boil. While everyone is unsure what to do, someone named Sir Hiro approaches and brings them into the city. Walking on the bustling streets of Suzukura, a jewelry shop immediately catches Katoa's eye. However, they are all out of money, so the girl has to reluctantly walk away. Here, they must use their strength to earn money. Men go to the stone mines, women work in weaving workshops. It's very exhausting work. Sharing the same circumstances as the local people, Arata's group must also begin to work. But staying at the stone mine like this, when will Arata ever meet Sokuro? Tsuruhiro is always standing above, supervising everyone. Perhaps he is the shortest path to meeting Sokuro. Looking around, Arata sees a very young boy who is also forced to work here, truly cruel. On the other side, Katoha is also diligently washing clothes. Seeing Arata approach her, she feels shy. She still hasn't fully accepted the fact that he's someone from another world. However, after that embrace, there's an invisible closeness between them that's hard to describe. On the 6 show's airship, he has shown Katawaki the scenes of Akachi's killings, one of the 12 Shinsho. Lives are mercilessly taken. Everywhere is stained with blood by the power of Kamui. After a day of working at the stone mine, Arata goes to the jewelry shop that Katoha had eyed. He spends the money he earned today to buy the hairpin that Katoha had been looking at. This scene is witnessed by Tsuruhiro. Such passionate feelings indeed. Taking the opportunity, Arata asks Tsuruhiro about Yorinami. Tsuruhiro doesn't hesitate to answer his questions. In his heart, Yorinami is noble and humane, with eyes that see far and wide. And now he's seeking perfection in people, including himself. Yorinami was once the ruler of Suzukura. Thanks to him, it became the most prosperous city in Amawakuni. Having said this, he finds an excuse to leave. The next day begins again. Arata and Kanet are working when they see the boy from yesterday being bullied. Angered, Kanet intends to hit the person opposite. But Tsuruhiro stops the boy. He then warns the foreman in front of them about the rule against fighting. In the end, they couldn't do anything. Arata, Kanet, and Kannagi visit the house of the bullied boy. This is a very dilapidated place behind the splendor of the city. This boy's name is Ruka. His parents are all gone. Previously, his family owned a fabric business on the main street. But due to severe illness, they went bankrupt. The workers they once sheltered all left, including the foreman who just bullied the boy. He was also a worker manager in the shop. Is this what they call a perfect city? Kannagi has seen Tsuruhiro silently standing behind the wall, hearing everything. Indignant, Kanet stands up and asks why Ruka doesn't leave this place. But the transit tax here is as high as 10 silver pieces, and the boy doesn't have money to go. It's exploitation. Kannagi snickers. Here, one must step on others to reach the top. That's how Suzukura operates. Having said this, he goes outside. giving the person standing outside the door an opportunity to talk. Stepping outside, Tsuruhiro laughs it off and begins to ask about Kanagi's impression of Arata, provoking to tear apart the relationship between the two. Kanagi laughs, saying it's an old trick, and warns that Arata isn't easy to deal with at all. The main character at this moment is in the room eating a bowl of soup cooked by Kanet's own hands. It reminds Arata of the soup his mother used to cook for him. He misses his mother very much. Little Ruka also exclaims that this soup is really delicious. Praised, Kanet smiles lightly, but Ruka begins to cry. The kid wishes he could disappear right now. He's always alone, and things are always terrible. Arata empathizes that whenever something bad happens, he always wants to run away, not knowing why it keeps coming even though he hasn't done anything wrong. But if he throws everything away, he will never know the reason he was born. Then gently says that because little Ruka was born into this world, he's not allowed to end his life like that. In life, no one is perfect. This statement stuns Tsuruhiro, who wipes away tears. Ruka firmly says he wants to leave this place. Arata and Kanet will always be ready to help the boy, including Gatoya and Kanagi. The airship continues to travel to Arata's location. Katawaki's wounds have healed. Suddenly, the ship collides with an unidentified mass. It's Akachi's Kamui. Seeing people, Katawaki rushes forward to face Akachi. Having seen those horrific scenes of killing, he wants to express his intention to cooperate with the person in front of him. But Akachi despises people like him. Those who cannot fight alone will only get in the way. Ignored, Katawaki angrily shouts that he just wants to kill Arata, never wanting Arata to appear again. While still shouting, the sword's tip has already reached his face. He contemptuously says that Katawaki cannot defeat Arata because he has been deceived by the evil in his own eyes. He gently says he will liberate Katawaki, then without hesitation, thrusts the sword straight into his eye. Arata's group is preparing to sneak out of the city when Tsuruhiro approaches. Or more accurately, Yorinami's #1 Sakuro, he says as he draws his Hayagami. Arata also draws Sakuro to fight. This city is not perfect. The people have no rights and fairness. These words make Haruko remember the first time he met Yorinami. He wants his master to return to how he was before. Haruko's Kamui is money. He has searched for a long time and has chosen to believe in Arata. He has been observing Arata for a long time on Yorinami's orders. He has seen all kinds of emotions in him. Therefore, he wants to know if Arata can become that person. He will change this city and believes Arata can awaken Yorinami. Arata and his friends finally set foot in Yorinami's capital. Yorinami is now standing in front of a water bubble, reminiscing about the past. When he was small, he had hand-woven a bracelet as a gift for his mother, but she carelessly said it was a waste of time and told him to go practice martial arts. The Hayagami, Sakuro, is the origin of all things. If he has it, the throne is firmly in his hands. Yorinami bows his head before the water bubble with his mother's clothing inside. This time, he will definitely please his mother. While drinking water at a river near the city, Gatoya approaches. She tells Arata that surely he will return to his old world where his loved ones are, then falls silent, gathering courage to say that she will stay by his side and take care of him until he leaves. This statement stuns Arata, but before he can answer, Gatoya has already run away. Looking at the hairpin in his hand, Arata is silent. Suddenly, he hears Gatoya's screams, and he, along with Kanagi and Kanet, hurriedly rush over. Gatoya is being controlled by Yorinami's Kamui. Then she is pulled underwater right before their eyes. Arata rushes like the wind to Yorinami's palace in front of him. The palace gate is open, and there are no guards at the gate, as if they were waiting for Arata to come here. Upon arrival, Arata sees Gatoya encased in a tight water bubble and imprisoned inside. Arata quickly draws his Hayagami and strikes at it, but to no effect. From the water, Yorinami appears. Kanagi and Kanet have also arrived. He mockingly laughs at Kanagi for having lost his Hayagami, while simultaneously raising the water level in Gatoya's bubble higher and higher. Yorinami demands that Arata submit to him or force him to submit if he wants Gatoya released. How despicable. Yorinami is willing to do anything to achieve his goals. His aim is for his mother to see the strongest Hayagami and then submit to him. Thus, the battle begins. Arata continuously blocks Yorinami's attacks, while the water level in the bubble keeps rising. Haruko and the other Sakuro believe in Arata. They all hope for the return of the former Yorinami. Seeing this, Yorinami becomes extremely angry. At another location, Akachi hears that Arata and Yorinami are fighting and knows for certain that Katawaki is also heading there. That time, Akachi blinded Katawaki's eye. Yet he didn't rage but instead wanted to become stronger, at any cost, even if it meant losing an eye. So Akachi gently gouged out his own eye for Katawaki. Now he only has one eye left. Even the maid beside Katawaki can sense that he has changed somewhat. This is the first time he wants to be close to others. Akachi is the first person to see through him. Here, Arata and Yorinami are still fighting fiercely. The water level in Katoha's bubble has risen very high. In that moment of distraction, Yorinami seizes the opportunity to attack, causing Arata to be unable to defend in time. He has used a technique called world time reversal to wrap Arata in a water bubble, making him sink into a dream. The bubble sinks deeper and deeper. At this moment, Katawaki has rushed in. He is the one who should defeat Arata, not allowing others to do so. Seeing Katawaki trying to ruin his plan, Yorinami waves his fan, causing the water to engulf Katawaki and take him along with Arata. Submerged underwater, under Yorinami's power, Arata continuously dreams of his mother. He dreams that his mother is cooking soup for him again and then turns to persuade him to pledge submission. Arata shakes his head in refusal. Seeing it has no effect, Yorinami increases his power, making Arata sink deeper into the dream. He dreams that after fighting at school, he isn't punished. Instead, his mother says he can give up. Just hide away, just say, submit, and everything will end. Arata is stunned. His mother repeatedly says he doesn't need to try so hard, just rest and ignore everything, once again calling for him to take the oath. Seeing Arata refuse, Yorinami is astonished. Why does he dare to disobey his own mother? Disobeying one's mother is taboo. Unable to make Arata submit to him, Yorinami's killing intent rises as he launches a decisive attack at Arata. But Arata in the dream seems to hear a voice. It's Katoha calling him, saying she believes and will always watch over him. Thanks to that call, Arata is awakened. The Hayagami in his hand emits a brilliant light, and he erupts with power, shattering Yorinami's barrier. He has succeeded and has also saved Katoha. Yorinami has failed miserably. Evoking his mother's image cannot make Arata submit. His mother would never say such things. Yorinami's Hayagami has completely lost its will to fight. He has truly lost. Then suddenly remembering, he turns back to the water bubble containing his mother's clothes. The bubble has shattered, leaving only a shabby old outfit. Yorinami's real mother has been dead for a very long time. Everything was just an illusion created by himself. Looking at the clothes in front of him, Yorinami sinks into old memories. His mother had always been strict, requiring him to be perfect. Wanting to be praised, he always tried to fulfill all her wishes. But by the time she died, he still hadn't received recognition. His desire grew stronger. He believed that if he became king, he would please his mother. Suddenly, Kanagi notices a box nearby. It's a relic left by Yorinami's mother, which he has never opened. This time, in front of everyone, Yorinami opens the box, and inside is the bracelet he wove for his mother when he was little. He thought she had thrown it away. At this moment, the aged Mokuso steps forward to answer his doubts. Yorinami's mother wasn't as strict as he thought. She was kind and loving to children. This is what caused her to suffer because she worried about Yorinami's future when he would no longer have his parents beside him. With the country about to fall into chaos, she was forced to be strict so he could walk on his own. Learning the reason, Yorinami bursts into tears. Indeed, Arata has pulled him out of his mental demon. Finally, Yorinami solemnly apologizes to all his subordinates for his past actions, and turning to Arata, he seriously asks what Arata believes is the most valuable thing in life. Without hesitation, Arata answers that it's bonds, like those between Yorinami and his mother. At this moment, Katawaki suddenly appears, sneering and saying, "Bonds are fucking nothing." Both of them have changed. Now they are show-carrying Hayagami, demanding others to submit. Arata shouts that he doesn't do the thing of forcing others to submit like that. Katawaki speaks up, saying isn't Arata still falling into the demon realm anyway? Arata affirms that he will no longer become a demon. He will definitely change Katawaki's heart. Katawaki truly doesn't understand inside him. There is only power, so he forces Arata to raise his sword. Having said this, Katawaki summons Orochi. His Orochi has now been fully awakened, forcing Arata to draw his sword. The two most powerful swords, representing light and darkness, collide with each other, creating an earthquake that destroys an entire house. After the collision, Arata immediately flees from Katawaki's pursuit. At the same time, on the airship, the members of the Sixth Show are enjoying the battle between the two powerful swords. Despite Arata's escape, Countless blades from Orochi's Kamui continue to rush forward, pressing close. Seeing the danger, Katoha repeatedly begs Kanagi and Kanat to help him. But they cannot. This is Arata's battle, they can only stand and watch. They believe Arata will not fall into the demon realm again, and he will not lose. Katawaki is still determined to pursue to the end. Orochi's Kamui rushes towards Arata like a storm, leaving him only able to block. He doesn't want to force Katawaki to submit. At this moment, Kanat urgently shouts that if they don't fight, they won't be able to reach the princess, causing Arata to freeze. He wants to live up to the princess's expectations, but what should he do now? Seeing this, Katoha also calls out to Arata. Everyone believes in him. These words awaken Arata, but not waiting for him, Orochi's Kamui becomes increasingly powerful, rushing forward as if to swallow Arata whole. He cannot fight back. Its Kamui is too strong, and besides, Sekiro was never a sword with offensive capabilities. Yorinami silently clutches his mother's bracelet, finally speaking to announce to everyone that he will submit to Arata. This statement stuns Arata on the other side. Yorinami continues, saying he will entrust everything to Arata. This action is more noble than being king and might please his mother. He will watch over Arata through Hayagami Sekiro and fight alongside him. Having said this, he prepares to perform the show submission ritual. However, Arata does not want this. He doesn't want anyone to submit to him. Kanagi immediately speaks up to awaken Arata. Doesn't he want to transform heaven and earth? If so, then accept this mission and stop avoiding it. For those who submit without being killed or forced, they have entrusted their lives to him, like Shuga did before. He must carry their lives, emotions, and wishes together. He has not been fighting for himself alone for a long time. Yorinami has begun to recite the oath. His body gradually dissolves and merges into one with Arata's Hayagami. At the moment of becoming one, an enormous power blows away everything. Standing on the pile of rubble, Arata contemplates as he looks toward Katawaki, and he speaks up to ask why Katawaki is so determined to fight him. But Arata will never understand that between them, there is only the way of fighting. Arata seriously begins to use the power from the Hayagami that Yorinami has given him. Not only that, but there's also the power of the Hayagami that Shuga entrusted. The battle continues fiercely as he calls upon the power of Sekiro. Arata is no longer fighting for himself anymore. According to Arata's words, a mystical light gradually emanates from Sekiro. From beneath the water, countless stone slabs begin to rise high into the sky, creating an extremely magnificent scene that is the power of Sekiro. From above, Arata calls out for those who have believed in him, for the desire to transform heaven and earth. Sekiro has heard his call. Surrounding the Hayagami and Arata is a dazzling, mystical halo of light. That brilliant light is the power that has been fully awakened. Arata will never retreat again. An attack carrying the might of the awakened Sekiro strikes toward Katawaki. That light swallows him whole. Arata has won. He feels as if Katawaki is now running with him, running with all his might without needing to think. Katawaki is always by his side. After the storm passes, Arata sits alone on a stone slab, gazing at Sekiro. At this moment, Katoha also struggles to climb up from below and embraces Arata tightly. Suddenly remembering, Arata reaches into his pocket and takes out the hairpin he has always carried with him because he wanted to give it to Katoha. Receiving the gift, Katoha happily hugs it. Arata will continue to move forward, and Katoha will always be by his side, accompanying him on the journey ahead. The anime ends by closing the main stories while opening up new possibilities for the characters' futures. Arata and the other characters have the opportunity to build new lives and face the next challenges in their journey, with a future awaiting them.